Hey, Kayla. So I will tell you how I know all of this. In 2010, I was getting my master's degree in counseling, and I was at a class. I actually had to go to a class in Virginia. I was actually living in Maui at the time. Yeah, I lived in Maui and it was amazing. And I had to fly for an intensive class to my school, which was Liberty University. And I had a professor who was a foster parent. Now, at this point, knowing that I was adopted meant nothing to me, meaning it had no influence on me. I didn't realize there was anything going on with me. So this was, what I said 2010, 15 years ago. I was early 30s at the time. And my professor said to me when she found out that I was adopted, she said, Julie, she was a foster parent. She said, you're going to harm people if you don't deal with the skeletons in your closet relating to adoption. And I was like, what are you even talking about? What skeletons? She said, you definitely have them and you need to figure it out. And of course I was shocked. And it's what we in our community, the adoptee community, call the fog. I was in the fog. It keeps us in fear. It keeps us obligated. It keeps us guilty. Fear, obligation, and guilt. I was in the fog, and what she did in that moment was she smacked me out of it. She literally ruptured my bubble. And I came home. I contacted my social worker and she said to me, I know the degree you're getting. You're going to need to do some work here. You probably need to journal before you get this information. I was adopted from California and it's a closed state, so you can't get any of your records at all. And the fact that the social worker even offered me to get my records, I got 6 pages. That's not normal. She blacked out all of the identifying information and she said, it's gnarly. You're going to want to journal before you get it. So that's when I found out that my birth mother had attempted to abort me between weeks 12 and 16. I had to do the math. I had to figure it out because it was actually social workers' notes. And so it was fascinating. So how do I know all of this? Because that was when my journey began. My brain shattered into a million pieces, not obviously literally, but figuratively. It felt fragmented. I felt as if the world as I knew it had completely changed and altered. My foundation I felt like I was flailing and falling. And from there, it has been me learning about how that trauma, before I was even adopted, those first 7 weeks of my life actually impacted my life. But it took me another 10 years to even figure out the impact. And that was when my birth mother died. And I realized at that point that I had unfinished business because I ended up meeting her after all of that and trying to clear up the skeletons in my closet. And once she died, I realized I need to figure out what's going on with me because there's these negative patterns in my life that I've already talked about in the 7 strategies. I had experienced loss but didn't understand it, didn't know what I'd lost, until I actually spent time realizing I lost all of my biology. All of it. I lost a secure beginning. That's where the rejection comes in. The strategy number 2. I came into this world with this immense amount of shame because everything was kept secret. You can't have an actual birth certificate. I still can't get my actual birth certificate. I have my amended birth certificate, but everything was shrouded in secrecy. So that's shame, that's guilt, what I'd already talked about in strategy number 3. Strategy number 4 had to do with grief. There was deep grief involved because I was disconnected from my culture, from my biology. I had 4 different caregivers in the first 7 weeks of my life. I didn't have anything solid in those first 7 weeks, and it impacted how I interacted with people for the rest of my life until I was smacked across the face, not literally, but by that professor, to realize this has impacted me. No wonder I have these tendencies where I feel like I have to be a chameleon in order to be accepted, in order to fit in. I didn't need to do that, but that's all I knew, because I had to do that from my inception, I had to fit in order to survive in my mind, because I didn't know any different, which then of course made it difficult for me to even experience intimacy, because intimacy meant that somebody was going to leave me or reject me or abandon me, because that's what my birth mother did. So that's where that comes in. And then of course the identity piece is wrapped up in all of that. It's so layered. And finally, there's that piece of surrender and realizing that I don't have control over all of this, that my identity, my worth was within me all along. I just needed to reveal and uncover all those secrets. And I haven't uncovered them all, and I probably never will, but I think being able to know that I love myself as I am and know that I was put on this earth for a purpose have helped me, and surrendering to that through being able to do my gratitude practice has really helped me. So, yeah, I think I answered your question.